Are your friends as funny as you?
No, they're not funny at all. No, I have no funny friends. I'm the funny one.
Welcome to The Famous File. Today we're talking about the show about nothing that turned into everything. Seinfeld. From bizarre conversations about soup to unforgettable catchphrases, Seinfeld was the sitcom that redefined comedy in the 90s. And it's still as legendary today as it was when it first aired in 1989. But what about the people behind the characters? Jerry, George, Elaine, and Kramer might have ruled the small screen, but what's their story? Where did they come from? How did they rise to fame? And what have they been up to in the years since the show ended? Get ready for a deep dive into the lives of one of TV's most iconic casts. Let's do this. Jerry Seinfeld. All right, folks, let's kick off with the man who started it all. Jerry Seinfeld, the king of observational comedy and the face of one of the most iconic sitcoms of all time. Born on April 29, 1954 in Brooklyn, New York, Jerome Allen Seinfeld grew up in a Jewish household in suburban Massapequa on Long Island. His father, Kalman, sold signs, and his mother, Betty, was a homemaker. Fun fact, Jerry's dad was a World War II veteran who used to joke that Jerry inherited his humor from him. Early on, Jerry showed an interest in comedy and loved making people laugh, but his path to fame wasn't exactly a straight line. His big break came in 1981 when he appeared on The Tonight Show starring Johnny Carson.
Hi. Well, I'm here. We're all here.
In 1989, Jerry teamed up with Larry David to create Seinfeld, the show about nothing. For 9 glorious seasons, Jerry played a fictionalized version of himself, a neurotic, serial-loving New Yorker navigating life with his eccentric friends.
Let me try it. Let me do one scene. What do you got to lose?
The show won multiple Emmys and Golden Globes, and by the time it ended in 1998, it had cemented itself as one of the greatest sitcoms of all time. After Seinfeld, Jerry didn't exactly slow down. He went back to his first love, stand-up comedy, and continued to perform around the world.
I have. That's not a joke. This is my life. I don't know.
But his next big Hollywood move? An animated film. In 2007, Jerry wrote, produced, and starred in B-Movie. Yes, the movie that gave us endless memes and reminded us how weirdly passionate bees can be.
Barry, breakfast is ready!
Coming!
In 2012, he also created Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee, an Emmy-nominated web series where he interviews fellow comedians over coffee.
How did you learn to do Natalie Portman?
I watched Garden State. She did that thing where she's, you want to listen to some...
The web series became a massive hit, featuring Jerry driving vintage cars and sharing coffee with comedy royalty like Dave Chappelle, Ellen DeGeneres, Jimmy Fallon, and even President Barack Obama. These days, Jerry is still killing it. He continues to tour, recently directed the Netflix comedy Unfrosted.
No.
Yeah.
A hilarious take on the history of Pop-Tarts, and remains one of the highest-paid comedians in the world. With a net worth close to $1 billion, Jerry's come a long way from those open mic nights in New York. Despite all his success, Jerry's life hasn't been completely free of controversy. One major eyebrow raiser came in the early 1990s, when Jerry, then in his late 30s, dated Shoshana Lonstein, a 17-year-old high school senior. The relationship lasted 4 years, but it understandably raised a lot of questions about the age gap and power dynamics. In the end, they parted ways in 1997, and Jerry later referred to it as a learning experience. Fast forward to 1999, when Jerry married Jessica Sklar, a public relations executive, just a few months after her divorce from high-profile PR mogul Eric Nederlander. Another incident that sparked some chatter came in recently when Jerry joined Barry Weiss on her podcast, Honestly, and what started as a conversation about the past took a controversial turn. Jerry expressed his nostalgia for what he called real men, reminiscing about figures like John F. Kennedy, Muhammad Ali, Sean Connery, and Howard Cosell. Here's the kicker. He said, "I miss a dominant masculinity. Yes, I get the toxic, but still, I like real men."
I miss a dominant masculinity. Yeah, I get the toxic thing. I get it.
The backlash was swift. Social media lit up with debates, some accusing Jerry of being out of touch, while others defended him as simply expressing his personal opinion about the men he admired growing up. However, one of the biggest controversies that Jerry has ever had to face arose in 2009. Did you know that Jerry Seinfeld found himself in a big legal battle after saying a little too much on a chat show? In 2009, Jerry was sued for defamation after he made some harsh comments about cookbook author Missy Chase Lapine. Lapine had accused Jerry's wife, Jessica Seinfeld, of copying the concept of her book, The Sneaky Chef, with Jessica's Deceptively Delicious. So, how did Jerry defend his wife? He went on The Late Show with David Letterman and called Lapine a wacko. Live on air. Needless to say, that didn't sit well with Lapine, who filed a defamation lawsuit against Jerry. But the court ruled in Jerry's favor, saying his comments were protected by free speech and were clearly made in jest. They also dismissed the copyright infringement claim, finding no evidence of plagiarism. However, while Jerry won legally, his comments didn't sit well with all fans. Many felt it was in poor taste for him to mock someone who wasn't as rich or famous as he was, even if he had every right to defend his wife. Maybe next time, Jerry will remember that some things are better left unsaid. Aside from the cookbook lawsuit, there's also been a few odd moments in Jerry's public life. In 2017, a comment Jerry made about the way comedy is perceived these days sparked some controversy. He expressed that he no longer enjoyed performing for college audiences, calling college campuses too politically correct. This statement didn't sit well with some fans, who saw it as dismissive of the progressive changes happening in comedy and culture. But as usual, Jerry shrugged off the backlash, standing by his views in typical Seinfeld fashion. No apologies, just his way of seeing the world. Stick around. Up next, we're diving into Elaine Benes herself, the brilliant Julia Louis-Dreyfus. Elaine Benes, Julia Louis-Dreyfus. All right, let's talk about the woman who made awkward dancing and erratic office behavior a cultural touchstone. Julia Louis-Dreyfus, aka the one and only Elaine Benes. Born in 1961 in New York City, Julia came from an interesting background. Her father, Gerard Louis-Dreyfus, was a billionaire businessman, and Julia spent part of her childhood surrounded by wealth. But rather than follow the family business, Julia had other plans. She was determined to be in showbiz. Growing up in an artistic household, she got her start in acting at an early age and studied theater at Northwestern University. It didn't take long for her to land her first big break. Before Elaine, Julia's big moment came when she joined the cast of Saturday Night Live in 1982.
All right.
Okay. But Julia's career really skyrocketed when she was cast as Elaine in Seinfeld in 1989. Elaine was the perfect foil to Jerry, George, and Kramer. Brash, hilarious, and completely unpredictable. She might not have been the central character like Jerry, but Julia's performance made her one of the standout stars of the show. And of course, her role earned her 6 Primetime Emmy Awards over the course of her career.
He goes to Julia Louis-Dreyfus.
After Seinfeld ended in 1998, she went on to have an incredibly successful career in both television and film. She starred in The New Adventures of Old Christine, which earned her even more Emmys.
Oh, come on, you're a guy. You do this kind of thing all the time. What do I do?
I don't know, just act sexy.
I can act sexy.
But her true comeback came with Veep, playing the foul-mouthed, power-hungry Vice President Selena Meyer.
What a fake car would be. Exactly. I should be president or something.
Julia won even more accolades, including multiple Emmys for Outstanding Lead Actress in a Comedy Series.
And the Emmy goes to
Julia Louis-Dreyfus.
But her success hasn't just been confined to the screen. In recent years, Julia has turned to producing and even directed a few projects. In 2023, Julia starred in and produced the comedy drama You Hurt My Feelings.
What kind of story were you thinking about, Hal?
Something in a prison.
Oh, all right. And what about...
This indie film, about a writer who overhears her husband's critical opinion about her novel, showcases her ability to curate projects that focus on emotional depth and subtle humor. Julia also starred in and was a producer on Downhill, a film that offered a unique comedic take on family dynamics after a traumatic event.
My dad passed away.
8 months ago.
So we came here.
He's still here.
Here's to here.
You lose a pair.
Her talent, drive, and passion for her craft have only grown stronger, and she continues to be a force in Hollywood. Now let's talk about some of the challenges Julia has faced. Despite all her success, she's also had her share of personal struggles. In 2017, she was diagnosed with breast cancer, and she bravely fought through it.
8 women get breast cancer. Today, I'm the one. She just posted on Instagram.
She has been very open about her journey, using her platform to raise awareness and inspire others. Thankfully, Julia is cancer-free and has come out stronger than ever. And if we're talking about challenges, we can't forget the time Julia found herself in a bit of a public faux pas. In 2014, to promote Veep, Julia posed for a Rolling Stone cover, where she was tastefully nude, with the U.S. Constitution seemingly tattooed on her back. Sounds fine, right? Well, there was just one little problem. The tattoo featured John Hancock's signature. But here's the kicker. Hancock didn't sign the Constitution, he signed the Declaration of Independence. Yikes.
Well, she is wearing the Constitution if you want to be technical about it.
Except John Hancock signed the Declaration of Independence.
Julia handled it with her usual grace and humor, joking on Twitter that she was in a drunken stupor, and even posted a hilarious image of herself as a baby with Hancock's signature, quipping it was a birthmark. Classic Julia. Off-screen, Julia is known for being a loving wife and mom. Julia married actor and writer Brad Hall in 1987, and they've been together ever since. Brad is known for his work on Saturday Night Live and as a co-creator of the sitcom The New Adventures of Old Christine, which Julia starred in. They have 2 sons, Henry and Charles, and from everything we've seen, they've managed to keep their family life relatively private and grounded. Despite her career's high-profile nature, Julia's always kept things pretty down to earth. She's often seen hanging out with her family, sharing moments on social media, and participating in charitable work. In fact, Julia is known for being involved in various philanthropic causes, especially those related to women's health and cancer research. Pretty inspiring. What do you think about Julia's personal life and how she balances everything? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. George Costanza, Jason Alexander. Next up, we've got the man who gave us one of the most iconic TV characters of all time. George Costanza, played by the one and only Jason Alexander. If you ever wondered what it would look like if neurosis, bad decisions, and self-sabotage had a baby, George is your guy. But behind the sarcasm and the ill-fated schemes, Jason Alexander's journey to stardom is anything but ordinary. Born in 1959 in Newark, New Jersey, Jason Alexander wasn't always the self-deprecating, low self-esteem, job-hopping George we know and love. As a kid, he was actually pretty involved in theater and was a talented performer from a young age. He attended Boston University and earned a degree in speech and drama, which definitely set him on his path toward acting. He began his career on Broadway, where he earned rave reviews for his performance in Jerome Robbins' Broadway.
Legos! I bid you welcome.
And even snagged a Tony Award in 1989 for his role.
Performance by a leading actor in a musical R. Jason Alexander, Jerome.
Despite his Broadway success, Jason wasn't an overnight TV star. But in 1989, he landed the role of George Costanza on Seinfeld. And that's when everything changed. While Seinfeld catapulted Jason to fame, his post-Seinfeld career didn't quite reach the same heights. His first project after the show ended was the ABC sitcom Bob Patterson, which only lasted 5 episodes.
I don't know how to say this, so I'm just gonna say it. I don't have any feelings.
He also starred in the short-lived CBS sitcom Listen Up, but didn't hit it big again on TV immediately.
Daddy's home!
Hi, honey.
However, Jason didn't let that get him down. Over the years, he made appearances in Friends, Star Trek, Voyager, Malcolm in the Middle, Monk, and Criminal Minds. While he wasn't landing another iconic role like George, he stayed active and kept delivering memorable performances. He even returned to Broadway, taking on the role of artistic director at Los Angeles Reprise Theater Company from 2007 to 2013. Jason also stayed busy in live theater, starring in productions like The Producers in 2003 alongside Martin Short, A Christmas Carol with Kelsey Grammer in 2004, and Broadway's Fish in the Dark in 2015. Plus, he kept flexing his comedic muscles in the 2017 play, The Portuguese Kid. And let's not forget his voice work. Jason voiced Cy Borgman in the animated series Harley Quinn until 2020, giving his signature voice to a completely different kind of character. In more recent years, Jason's been popping up in some fun cameos. He appeared on The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel as Asher Friedman and in Young Sheldon as Gene Lundy.
The truth is I never left you all through my wild days.
He's also still performing live, most recently starring in Judgment Day at the Chicago Shakespeare Theater. Now, no one's career is without its bumps, and for Jason Alexander, there were a few controversial moments, particularly in the early 2010s. One of the biggest controversies came in 2012 when he made a comment on The Late Late Show with Craig Ferguson that sparked widespread backlash. The conversation turned to cricket, and Jason made a joke saying, "You know how I know it's really kind of a gay game? It's the pitch. It's not like a manly baseball pitch. It's a queer British gay pitch." Now, the use of the word gay here was problematic. It was a term that had been used in the past to refer to homosexuals in a derogatory way. Though Jason likely didn't intend to harm, it was a careless joke that many found offensive. Jason quickly apologized, saying he should have known better, and acknowledging that his life is filled with gay friends and colleagues, both professionally and personally. He expressed regret and emphasized that in comedy, timing and context are everything. He made it clear that he deeply respected the LGBTQ+ community and understood the harm his words had caused. Now let's talk a bit about Jason Alexander's personal life. Because while George Costanza was a mess in relationships, Jason's life off-screen has been a lot more grounded. For one, Jason has been happily married to his wife, Dina Tidal, since 1982. Yep, you heard that right. They've been together over 40 years, which in Hollywood years is practically a lifetime. The couple has 2 sons together, and Jason's been pretty open about his commitment to family and raising his kids outside the spotlight. Over the years, Jason has often shared how important family is to him. He's been very vocal about his struggles with body image, and in a few interviews, he's admitted to battling with self-esteem issues, which he says were intensified by the pressures of being constantly compared to George Costanza. But rather than letting that define him, Jason has embraced his imperfections with humor and grace. Jason is also known for his charity work and activism. He's involved with several organizations, particularly those supporting children's health and arts education. He's used his platform to give back to causes close to his heart, helping out behind the scenes without looking for the spotlight. In recent years, Jason has been more focused on enjoying life and his hobbies. He's a huge sports fan and has been seen attending various games, especially his beloved New York Mets games. He's also active on social media, engaging with fans and keeping his followers updated on his projects and personal life. Cosmo Kramer, Michael Richards. Now let's talk about the one and only, the man with the most unpredictable entrances in TV history, Cosmo Kramer. Played by the hilarious Michael Richards, Kramer became an iconic character known for his wild ideas, bizarre behavior, and of course, those unforgettable sliding entrances. Michael Richards was born in 1949 in Culver City, California. Michael Richards had a somewhat difficult childhood. Raised by a single mother, he was unaware of his biological father for most of his life. Richards later discovered that his birth was the result of a traumatic situation. His mother was raped at the age of 19, and he was conceived as a result of that assault. For years, Richards had no idea about the circumstances of his birth, and learning this truth as an adult was a profound moment in his life. Richards has explained that finding out about the nature of his birth caused a lot of inner turmoil. It certainly shaped his approach to family and relationships. Despite the hardship, Richards has built a family of his own, marrying Beth Skip in 2010, and together they have a daughter. Richards has always been somewhat private about his personal life, but he's made it clear that he values his family deeply, especially in the aftermath of his emotional struggles. Michael started his career in the late 70s and early 80s, appearing in stand-up comedy and minor TV roles, but it wasn't until 1989, when Seinfeld hit the airwaves, that he became a household name. Of course, Kramer wasn't even the original character the show creators had in mind. Jerry Seinfeld and Larry David initially intended the character to be more of a background, recurring role. But when Michael Richards brought his unique brand of chaos to the character, Kramer exploded in popularity. Richards' portrayal of Kramer made him a star. He won 3 Emmy Awards for his role, and he became known as one of the funniest characters in TV history. But as the Seinfeld phenomenon skyrocketed, so did the pressure. Richards was often in the public eye, and that led to some challenges in his personal life. After Seinfeld ended in 1998, Michael Richards faced a tricky road. He tried to build a post-Seinfeld career, But unfortunately, his reputation took a major hit in 2006 during a stand-up comedy performance. In November 2006, Richards performed at the famous Laugh Factory in West Hollywood. What was supposed to be a comeback gig ended up costing him his career. During his routine, Richards was heckled by an African-American man named Kyle Doss. Rather than brush it off, Richards erupted in a racist tirade.
What was it called for? It's not called for you to interrupt my ass, you!
He used the N-word 5 times in just a few minutes, alongside violent and racial epithets, all of it caught on video. Richards later apologized on The Late Show with David Letterman, but the damage was done. The public backlash was swift and unforgiving. That incident essentially destroyed Richards' career. Since 2006, he's only appeared in 5 acting roles, including voice work in B-Movie and a cameo as himself on Curb Your Enthusiasm. But despite a few sporadic appearances, Richards has mostly kept a low profile.
Looking at it very closely, it's something that's always with us, certainly with me.
But there's been another chapter in Richards' life that's recently come to light: his health. In his upcoming memoir, Entrances and Exits, Richards opens up about a major health scare he faced in 2018. During a routine checkup, he was diagnosed with prostate cancer after his PSA levels were found to be unusually high. At the time, he was told that he had stage 1 prostate cancer. Despite the ups and downs, including both personal challenges and career setbacks, Michael Richards remains a beloved figure thanks to his portrayal of Kramer. His story is a reminder that even the most eccentric characters on TV can have their own personal battles. And it's heartening to see Richards in a better place now, after facing some major hurdles. Newman Wayne Knight. Newman. That name alone probably conjures up images of a certain mailman with a suspiciously scheming smile. Played by the legendary Wayne Knight, Newman became one of Seinfeld's most iconic and entertaining characters. Wayne Elliott Knight was born in 1955 to Grace and William Knight, with Italian and English roots. Raised in Cartersville, Georgia, Wayne headed to the University of Georgia in 1972. But despite being an honors student, he left school to join the Barter Theater in Virginia. He eventually earned his BFA in 2008. After an internship, Wayne landed his equity card and moved to New York, where he made his Broadway debut in 1979 in Gemini. Before Seinfeld, Wayne had already made a name for himself with a number of memorable roles. You might recognize him from movies like Space Jam, 1996, as the slimy, scheming Stan Podolak, or from Jurassic Park 1993, where he played the infamous Dennis Nedry, whose attempt at stealing dinosaur embryos led to, well, disaster. But it was his role as Newman on Seinfeld that truly made him a household name. Newman first appeared on Seinfeld in 1991, and what started as a small recurring role turned into a fan favorite. After the show wrapped in 1998, Wayne continued to work steadily in film and television. He appeared in a range of projects, including voice work for Toy Story 2 and The Lion King 1: One Power 2, as well as TV shows like Third Rock, From the Sun and Hot in Cleveland. In 2020, Wayne Knight made headlines by reprising his role as Newman for the first time in years, in an anti-Trump advertisement. Unfortunately, Wayne Knight's career was also marked by some less than glamorous moments, particularly when he became the subject of media scrutiny in the early 2000s. In 2006, he made headlines for an incident involving a traffic accident, which some tabloids sensationalized. Fast forward to 2024, and Wayne Knight has been making headlines for his stunning weight loss transformation. Wayne has made some significant lifestyle changes over the past few years, shedding a lot of pounds and showing off his healthier, more fit self. Fans were quick to share their admiration for his hard work, and it's great to see Wayne embracing a healthier lifestyle at 68. While his acting career slowed a bit, he's made guest appearances and voiced characters in recent years. He's stayed largely out of the tabloids, focusing on his craft and his family. So what do you think of his transformation? And that's a wrap on our Seinfeld cast deep dive. So, which cast member has surprised you the most? Do you still think about Seinfeld in 2024? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that bell to stay updated on all our cast deep dives.